welcome to the Vibrant Health Podcast with your hosts, Lydia Shatney and Jessica Espinoza. Lydia is a nutritional therapist and founder of Divine Health from the Inside Out. Jessica is a real food wellness educator and founder of the website, DeliciousObsessions.com. Since this is a health-related podcast, it should be noted that the hosts are not licensed medical professionals. The information and advice provided in this podcast is not intended to diagnose, treat, or prescribe for any illness or health issue and should not be construed as medical advice. And now, here are the hosts of Vibrant Health Podcast, Lydia Shatney and Jessica Espinoza.
Hi, everyone, and welcome to episode number 7 of the Vibrant Health Podcast. I am Jessica from DeliciousObsessions.com, and I'm here with my co-host, Lydia of Divine Health from the Inside Out.com. And today we want to talk about how to create a daily routine for health. So many of us function better if we just have kind of a standard routine that we go through every day. And establishing these daily routines can actually be really beneficial for our long-term health. So implementing some changes into what we eat and when we go to bed and all of that kind of stuff can really improve our health in the long term. So we wanted to come today and give you some ideas and some tips on how to do this and how to make these changes in your life.
That's right. I work with folks regularly, and one of the things that I kind of focus on is teaching them, that their body works on a daily circadian rhythm. And so we talk about things like bedtime and sleep and when you wake up in the morning, are you eating at a certain time and things like that. So what I found is many people out there really want to get healthy and they just don't know where to start and they're overwhelmed or they're eating great already, but they still have things that aren't quite right for them and they just don't know what to do. And quite frankly, very simple things like tweaking your daily routine can make a huge difference. For example, and I might not be popular when I say this, but one of the best things people can do for them is establish a regular bedtime routine. And, because of this circadian rhythm that our body works on, we have, kind of like this, what's it called? There's actually a meridian organ clock, but there's kind of like our body runs on, our hormones run on a routine and our organs run on a routine and all this stuff. From like 11 to 1 a.m., you have your adrenals are repairing and restoring. You're getting your deepest sleep by 2 a.m. 9 p.m. is when your melatonin actually starts secreting. The way that our bodies work is really with kind of time in mind. So when we know this, we can kind of let our bodies do what they need to do with that in mind. Does that make sense? So bedtime is a big one because a lot of people, number one, will have trouble falling asleep. I talk to people all the time and they have kids and, maybe they're not getting their kids to bed at a decent time. And so then they're up late because they want time when the kids are in bed to do things or have time alone or whatever it may be. And the problem with this is that, many people will run into trouble where, number one, they're not getting enough sleep. They're not getting the hours of sleep at night that they need. So if you already have, let's say we've talked about adrenal fatigue on here before, and you're not getting to bed at a certain time, you're not doing your adrenals a favor, and then, it kind of creates this vicious cycle, unfortunately. So it's a very simple thing to do, and, not everybody wants to go to bed, by 10 o'clock. I get that. But there are other things that you don't want, like, excess weight around your waist or, feeling fatigued throughout the day, or there's a lot of things that can come out of not getting a good quality sleep starting at a decent hour.
I agree. For me personally, sleep is huge, but I am still one who kind of struggles with making sure that I actually go to bed at an ideal time. I can tell a huge difference. If I can get 8 hours of sleep, I'm feeling good. If I could get 9 hours every night, I would feel like $1 million. But that doesn't always happen, so I really strive to get 8. And I can tell a huge difference. It doesn't matter how well I'm doing everything else in my life. If I'm eating perfectly and if I'm exercising correctly, if my sleep is messed up, that throws everything else out of whack. So I really am trying to kind of get it into my head. And, I've been working on this stuff for, years now. So I know the importance of sleep, and I know how critical it is for me to adhere to those strict bedtimes, but it is hard because I might get a second wind in the evening, or my husband and I might want to, spend extra time together because he's got a hectic schedule right now too. So we may not even get that time together until like 8:30 or 9. And so it's, it's hard. I can completely, relate to the struggles that people have with, setting those bedtimes and really being strict with them, because I struggle with it too. But I can absolutely tell you that if you can get your sleep in line, then, you're going to feel worlds better, even if you're not doing a whole lot else in your life, even if you're not necessarily eating perfectly, or, what is eating perfectly. But if you're not, whatever you're doing, if your sleep is in line, you're going to be feeling a lot better, and then probably have the energy to tackle some of those other areas that maybe need some changing too. So I think, sleep is huge.
Yeah. And, it's tough because, like you said, even if you're not eating healthfully, let's say, sometimes it's harder for people to fall asleep, if they haven't made a whole lot of changes, or they're, still drinking soda, or maybe, whatever it may be. So that can be something that can play into not being able to get good sleep too. But let's talk about this really quick. It's really important, and I didn't want to go into sleep too much, but I think it is pretty darn important, and then we can kind of see how the rest of your day goes when sleep is impaired. And now, of course, there are people who are going to have jobs that are weird hours. We've got moms with nursing babies, and so there's people out there that this is going to be a challenge no matter what. But let's talk about it anyway, because it's so important, and most people aren't aware of this. Number one, not getting enough sleep can hinder weight loss, for one. That's a big issue most people are talking about these days. It can affect your blood sugar, your endocrine glands, your adrenals, and then it can create a vicious cycle, maybe make your sleep situation even worse. But, we do run on this daily cycle, and no matter where you are in the world, you kind of need to go with the sun, basically. Think about it like that. And if you're in Alaska with the weird sun patterns, then that's a whole different story. But, generally speaking, we talked about, 8 hours of sleep is great. Getting to bed by 10 p.m. so that you're asleep before that 11 p.m. time to give your adrenals that time to restore. And, try to sleep from 10 to 6 a.m. A healthy person can do that no problem. If you're struggling for those hours and it's not working for you right now, hang in there and try for it anyway, because getting your routine down can really shift and make your sleep a lot better, quality-wise, falling asleep-wise, all that. But what happens is when you don't have good sleep, let's say you go to bed really late, you go to bed at 12 a.m., 1 a.m. kind of thing, but you still are sleeping until maybe 8 a.m., still not quite the same. You're still going to kind of affect you in some way. And when you have this deprivation of sleep, it'll create a vicious cycle of excess stress hormones. When that gets out of whack, oftentimes people's melatonin production goes off too. Maybe you have low growth hormone, something like that. So when your hormones keep getting more out of balance, it's going to mess up your sleep even more. So it's important to kind of stop and say, all right, I should do something about this now, before it gets even worse. And then for women, hormonal imbalances that come from sleep deprivation can be pretty annoying. Like, we end up having worse PMS, maybe some depression, things like that. So quality sleep is pretty darn important. And sometimes you have to force the issue before it gets better, right? Before it is like easy, let's say. So that's a big one. And stress can really mess this cycle up. So, it's gonna be hard for people, but it's really important to try to prioritize it, I honestly tell people, you could eat a perfect diet, but if if you're going to bed late or you're not getting enough sleep, then I'm not going to help you as much, so we have to focus on sleep. It's a pretty big deal, especially these days, and we have so many things combating our quality of our sleep.
How do you feel about one thing that I've kind of started doing? Well, recently I feel like I've been working more in the evenings. I was kind of in a habit of, by the time my husband got home and we ate dinner, I really was not doing much, if any, work in the evenings. The last few weeks have been kind of crazy. So sometimes I'm on my computer right up until the time that I need to go to bed, which I'm really trying hard not to do, but sometimes it's unavoidable. Or we're watching TV in the evening, or you've got your cell phone out, or, and even just the overhead lights in the house. So what do you feel about the blue blocker glasses? That's one thing that I've started wearing in the evenings. When the sun goes down, I'll throw on my blue blocker glasses. I posted a picture of myself on Instagram not too long ago, and a little silly picture of me and my blue blockers, but I think they really do help. What do you feel about those?
Well, I think they're great if they. I don't have blue blocker glasses. What I kind of do, and I've been doing this for a long time, because I'm going to be honest, I had 4 kids, and all those years of sleepless nights and dealing with that just really did me in, man. And when I finally, I'm divorced now, and when I finally separated, that was the very first thing. I was like, you know what? Come hell or high water, I'm going to bed when I want to go to bed, and I'm going to get sleep, and this is going to change, and boom. And I just changed my whole family. I was like, listen, everyone has a bedtime. We're going to have a routine. I'm done. Mm-hmm. And so I started turning the lights off. As the sun starts to go down, I try to keep the TV off. I don't keep it on late in the evening. I usually tell the kids, listen, we're going to turn it off. Nowadays, all kids have screens. They've got an iPod, an iPad, a cell phone, whatever. So you got to get, number one, you got to get a routine with the kids, which can be a battle, because some parents are just so tired that they just don't care because they want a break, right? I get it. But, we need to get things on these screens, if we are letting them have them in the evening at all, like F-Lux or something. And then, just creating like a routine where we're like, okay, we're done with electronics at this hour. And 2 hours before bed is ideal. 3 hours would be better, but, even if it's only 1, do what you got to do, but come up with something to block that light for sure. So, yeah, the blue blocker glasses are great, or getting F-Lux on any device can really help a lot. I kind of have this thing where I go around and I literally turn out all the lights in the house every night. I don't leave them on. We may turn on a light briefly to get ready for bed, and then it's out right away. I don't leave night lights on for my kids, anything like that. My kids know the routine. They don't fight me on it anymore.
That's awesome.
It is just, we do it, and that's that. And so I know that's a struggle for parents. I know it's a battle that a lot of people have. And then if the one parent wants to do it and the other parent doesn't, and then there's like this fight, that sucks too. But honestly, we all need to get on the same page about this, and it's really going to benefit everyone. So, if you're a parent out there and you are struggling to get your own bedtime in a better place, you need to get your kids' bedtime ironed out first sometimes, I find. That is what happens. And sometimes the kids are having trouble falling asleep, and there's some things we can do to help them. And one of them really is just dealing with the light and the screens, Mm-hmm. Not doing these stimulating things in the evening, maybe encouraging your kid to read a book or something like that. It would be ideal to kind of help. It's a little bit more calming, than a screen can be. I mean, even if they're not like watching some shoot 'em up game or racing game or I don't even know what everybody's kids do. My kids like to do Minecraft and, build stuff. So it just depends on what they're doing. If you've got kids doing these stimulating things, that's not good. Same with the adults. If we're watching TV and movies and like adventure, like mega, intense shows where there's all this stuff going to happen. I'm sorry, I'm having trouble like communicating what I'm trying to say, but like an action thriller. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And your body is going to respond to that. You're going to be like on edge, So I learned a long time ago I cannot watch anything before bed that's going to stir me up like that. It's going to be too emotional or kind of hit a spot in me that's raw maybe or something. So I'm really protective of that time of night in my sleep. I'm not always good about it. There's times when in like the winter I'll start to see my bedtime get a little later, and I'll catch myself. Generally speaking, it's an important part of my life. It's just become who I am as a person, and my family follows suit. So, having had all those babies, man, it really did me in for so many years, and I don't ever want to deal with that again. So hopefully that helps.
Yeah, that's definitely, I need to be better about my evening routine. I have my morning routine down pat. I get up and get my husband off to work, and then I have my time to do my yoga. I eat my breakfast. I take my shower. I do all of my little things. And I'm very, very routine oriented in the morning. And if that routine gets disrupted, then, it kind of throws off my whole day. And like the other thing that I have, like, it's kind of funny. I was actually laughing to myself yesterday. So I get up, my husband leaves for work pretty soon after we get up. And then, I do my, 15 to 20 minutes of yoga. And then I eat my breakfast, and then I do my coffee enema and my infrared therapy in the bathroom floor, and it is absolutely glorious. Like, I was sitting there yesterday, or laying there, and I was just like, if you had told me a year ago that I would look forward to laying in my bathroom floor doing a coffee enema, I would have looked at you like you were crazy. But I tell you what, it is so relaxing because I lay there and I'm literally forced to just chill out. And then I get up and I take my shower, and then I get my day started. And I really feel like that morning routine, I have that down pat. But my evenings have always been where I've really struggled. So I need to just be better about turning off the TV, turning off the computer. Whatever work is left, it will wait until tomorrow. And just creating kind of a more, starting earlier and making sure my goal is to be in bed by 9, because my husband's alarm goes off at 5:15 to 5:30 in the morning. So my goal is to be in bed by 9. So I need to really try to be better about, creating that relaxation, like, environment earlier, starting at 7:30 or 8 or whenever. So this is good stuff for me to hear, even though I've been working on my health journey for years now. I still struggle. So I want people to know that too. Like, just because we are wellness educators doesn't mean that we have it down pat all the time. So sleep has been a big thing for me to really get completely, pulled in and structured. So
it's definitely challenging, especially when you have teenagers who want to start going out at night. Oh my.
Oh boy. Yeah.
I'm like, for me, and I know there's parents out there, and I've had some parents with older kids who kind of let the kids run the show, which, or kind of let the kids dictate the schedule, which, it's tough when you have a couple teenagers too. So like my oldest, he'll want to go out on a weekend, and I'll say, listen, you get one night. That's it. Because I'm your mom. I don't care if you have a ride home and you're going to be sick. I'm going to be up until you're here. That's just how it works. I'm going to be on my little mommy alert until I know you're home safe.
Right.
And I don't want to stay up till, late. So, when you're older, you can do whatever you want. I don't care. But right now, I don't care if all your friends' parents say they can stay out later. I'm just not doing it. So, but one night he gets, it's like 11. That's as far as I'll go. I'm not going to go any later than that with him.
Yeah.
But
you're a good mom.
I guess I'm a weirdo, but I don't care. Another thing about the evening, and it's interesting because, like, if your evening starts to get off, it makes the rest of your next day a little harder. So, like, another thing I know people struggle with is eating dinner at a decent hour. So some people are eating dinner at like 8 o'clock at night, and then what happens there is you're eating your dinner, and then you've got to give your body some time to digest and process that, and before you go to bed. So it's usually best to try to eat a little earlier and not be eating later in the evening, and try to have a good 3 hours before you're going to bed if you can. Some people do need to eat a little bedtime snack. That's different. But if you're eating a big meal late in the evening, that's going to have an impact on your sleep too. So you want to try to eat before that if you can. Try to get your dinner in around 7 at the latest, really. But I know some people have crazy schedules. So some of this information could be to maybe say, hey, maybe I need to make some adjustments in my schedule. Maybe the family is waiting for Dad to get home till they eat dinner, and really that's putting the whole family further back to serve one person. Like, just, I don't know. I've heard that many times where people are waiting till 7:30 at night to eat together as a family, which is great. But sometimes we have to make shifts that make more sense for the greater good. Does that make sense?
It does. Yeah, I don't want people to feel like, if you're, a family that eats late or if you don't go to bed at a specific time, like we're not here to judge you and to make you feel bad about what you're doing. We just want to kind of create some awareness and maybe kind of get your brain percolating and realizing that there are some things that you can do, just some slight adjustments that may help your health more in the long term. So, we're not here judging. Everybody has their own schedule, and there's always circumstances. Some families have parents who work graveyard shifts. I mean, there's things that are just unavoidable, but we want to throw out some ideas and maybe give you some information to kind of help, just help you kind of see if there's things that you could adjust or do better, or new things that you could try. Like maybe you're trying to do a new routine and you're struggling. So maybe some of the stuff that we talk about will kind of spark an idea that might work for you. So definitely no judgment coming from us at all.
Oh, gosh, no, please. That's the last thing I want anyone to feel like, oh, Lydia told me I should go to bed and or whatever. I hate that. Because, the truth is like some Saturday nights I'm eating dinner at 8 o'clock. It just happens, and I'm like, oh, well, whatever. I'm not going to stress about it.
Yep.
But I don't want it to be, I don't want to have these habits all accumulating that could be impacting my health. Does that make sense? So trying to keep a regular rhythm can be so helpful because there's so many times when life is unpredictable, and it's easy to just spiral from there. So, I'm just kind of laying a template and a framework that can lead to, better results, really. So yeah, zero guilt or judgment, please.
Yes,
that's
absolutely.
never the case. So yeah, so eating dinner at a decent hour is a good thing too. But let's talk about like a general day, what it could look like. So let's say you are doing the 10 to 6 a.m. thing, which not everybody will, but if you have your general bedtime and general wake time, because, everyone's got their jobs and stuff. So we all do, to some degree, have a routine already, right? So let's say we all are getting up at 6 a.m., what can we be doing to support our health throughout the day from the minute we get up and keep it simple? Well, one thing for sure is because so many people have imbalances in their health, namely we've got blood sugar imbalances. I don't really know anyone who's got truly balanced blood sugar, and we've got very tired adrenal glands, okay? So these are the two most common things I see with all of my clients, ages 1 to 80, like there's no one that escapes this. So what can we be doing from the beginning of the day? Well, one thing is to have breakfast within a decent hour of waking. So you want to try to eat within an hour of waking if you can, or maybe an hour and a half, but you don't want to go 3 hours. You don't want to wait forever. And now I know I'm going to hear the objections of, what about intermittent fasting?
I was going to say.
We're not going to go there.
Fasting. Yep.
Because here's the thing. Some people can do that. And everyone's doing that when they're sleeping anyway. We're fasting when we're sleeping. But here's the thing. Most people have blood sugar imbalances, like I said. Most people have tired adrenal glands. And in that case, you can't really afford to go very long in the morning without eating something. And I'm not even talking you have to have a huge breakfast right away. If your schedule is too crazy to permit that, I'd rather you not eat in a stressed, rushed state. I'd rather you just have a snack to keep your blood sugar from dipping down. And then your adrenal glands have to come in and rescue you, basically. And if they're already tired, you're straining them even more by, having them come in and have to save you from a hypoglycemic episode, And that's a very common thing. So I tell everyone, please eat within an hour of waking if you can. If you can't get your full breakfast in, that's totally fine. Have like a small smoothie or a snack or something, and the sole purpose is to keep your blood sugar stable and to set your day up for success.
I used to be one of those people who was never hungry in the morning. And I think a lot of people are like that. They're just not hungry in the morning, and then they don't really feel hungry until maybe 10 or so. And then, sometimes it's time to eat lunch by the time they feel hungry. But I tell you what, when I made a focused effort, several years ago when I started really learning about blood sugar balance and how it affects your thyroid and your adrenals and all that stuff, and I really made an effort to start eating in the morning within the hour to hour and 15 minutes of waking up, it felt weird at first. But now I can't go all morning. I absolutely have to eat my breakfast because I don't feel well if I don't. So you can change your body's habits. You can create new habits for your body. So just because you don't like breakfast now doesn't mean that you couldn't adjust that if your schedule permitted for that. So definitely something to keep in mind, because I used to hate eating breakfast, but then once I got in the habit of doing it, now I love my breakfast. I really feel like if I don't eat a solid, healthy breakfast, then I set myself up for failure throughout the rest of the day. So, so yeah, it's really important.
Yeah, and so let me delve into what you said further, but also before I do, I want to say this. A lot of people tell me their schedule in the morning is too crazy, and so here, let me tell you mine. I get up around 6. My body kind of wakes me up, so that's a good sign right there. If your body's waking you up and you don't need an alarm clock, then that's a good sign. You wake up around 6. Kid number 1, have to get him out the door by 6:45. Kid number 2, have to get him out the door by 7:30. Kid number 3, have to get him out the door by 8. Kid number 4, have to get him out the door by 8:30. They're all at different schools, all different buses, all have different morning needs. And so do I want to have a breakfast during that crazy time? Well, no, and I usually don't. I have a snack. So I'll eat a little something of what I'm making them, and then as soon as they're out the door, I am having my breakfast. So that's my crazy schedule, and I know a lot of people have crazy schedules, so I understand that, and I'm not trying to make things harder for you. It will make things easy for you if you understand, the reason why. So just think about, what kind of morning snack can you have on hand that can keep your blood sugar stable until you have the time to sit down and relax and eat your actual breakfast. Second, and Jessica just said she didn't feel like eating breakfast at one point, and I hear that a lot. In fact, I hear it so much that I wrote a whole blog post about it at one point. And so I have clients who tell me, I ask them about breakfast, and they're like, yeah, I'm not hungry. I don't really have an appetite, and I just don't want any food, and so I'll have my coffee, and then I'll eat at 10 o'clock. But they've been up for, several hours. So, and then having coffee in between waking and waiting that long, you're going to be asking for some blood sugar problems. So there are some reasons why people feel like skipping breakfast. It is a legitimate, physiological thing. We have people who have digestive issues, so they wake up in the morning. Part of the reason could be maybe they ate dinner late at night, like we were talking about a little bit ago. Maybe they ate their dinner so late at night, and for some reason their body just didn't digest it properly or whatever, so they wake up and they're not hungry. So sometimes that means people need more digestive support, really. But that's a big one. Hypoglycemia is a big one. This person is probably the one who says, I just have my coffee and I eat later. They need the coffee to get their blood sugar kind of going. This person could have maybe a glycogen storage problem causing them to not be hungry but they still need that coffee. So there's some things going on there that could be the problem. However, you can still kind of force the issue. Even if you think you aren't hungry, you can say, you know what, I know this is good for my body, so I'm going to try anyway. And usually people find they can make that shift. They'll start eating breakfast and they'll actually realize, wow, I do feel better. And it kind of awakens their appetite in a way. So it's just a matter of talking yourself through that. People with adrenal fatigue often have low morning cortisol levels, and this makes appetite very difficult. That's another issue there. So honestly, if you kind of force the issue, same thing with the whole bedtime thing, you can be making some shifts. So it's a matter of just talking to yourself and say, okay, you can do this, and just trying it, rather than going by how you feel, but knowing like this would be a better thing for my body, and trying it out, and you'll be surprised at how it makes you feel better in the long run.
Yeah, it did
Like
for me, absolutely.
Yeah. So, and I know it's tough. It's just, because if you're already tired in the morning, and morning's hard for you, it's just, it's a matter of planning ahead. Have something easy at first until you kind of gain momentum, and then, you'll get into it.
I've started making my husband, because my husband's one of those people who doesn't eat a lot in the mornings, and I know that he's, setting himself up for some blood sugar issues too. So I've actually started, making just a huge pan of hash, with some sausage and some potatoes and spinach, and I just put a bunch of veggies in there that he'll eat, and then I scramble up an egg or two in the morning, and it's already pre-portioned. So I usually, like Sunday, I'll just make the big pan of hash. I'll portion it up into little glass containers for the week. I'll get up and scramble up an egg real quick while he's getting ready for work, and then he takes it to work so that he has that time, because he's one of those people that can't eat right away. Some people can get up and go eat immediately, and then other people need an hour or so, and he's one of those people that needs some time, and I do too. And then he can get to work a little bit early, and then he eats, before he starts work and everything. So you figure out some things that work for you, and if you're not, if you can't have a big meal in the morning, but have those snacks, like know ahead of time, can you have some, sliced up meat, or, some leftover chicken and a little scoop of sauerkraut or something that you can just eat for a quick snack until you can sit down and enjoy the meal. It's just baby steps, figuring out what you can do and then what will work to kind of get you to achieve those goals.
Right, and I'll be honest with you, I mean, we could talk about what a whole day could look like, but bedtime and breakfast are probably the two most important things and the biggest problems I see. Like, most people don't have happening well enough to make it, impact their health in a good way. So breakfast alone is a struggle because we have this, I mean, like I said, my morning, it's crazy. Even though I work from home, I have to get started working like pretty much almost right away. I have a lot to accomplish before the kids get home from school, so I can't spend every morning cooking myself a breakfast. It even can take too much time every single day if I'm doing that. So I started doing what I call kitchen bursts. You hear about burst training. Well, I do kitchen bursts, and I literally will, in 2 hours, just whip up 16 or so individual breakfasts. It's like 4 different things. Like, I'll make breakfast hash, I'll make a frittata, I'll cook a big rope of turkey sausage, and then a bunch of veggies, and like 4 different things. Stick them in the Pyrex, stick them in the freezer, and boom, I'm set for 16 either breakfast or breakfast and lunches, and I did it all in 2 hours, and I get up in the morning, I don't have to cook breakfast, and I save myself that time. So it's something that I've been doing lately, and I have to do this. I really do, because if I get to the point when the kids finally leave and I'm already frazzled, and I'm like, dang it, I don't want to cook breakfast, I just fed them all. I feel like someone else is feeding me. I seriously do. When I pull these things out and I heat them up, I'm like, I feel like I'm being fed. I know it sounds crazy, but it's like, it's so helpful. So really, your daily routine can go so much better. You can set yourself up for success and feeling better and feeling you're more stable in both your mood and your physical well-being. You can avoid those lulls in the day. If your routine is set, if you're getting breakfast, you can avoid all this extra fatigue that a lot of people are feeling. You can avoid extra snacking or you get to the office. A lot of people go to offices and they've got donuts and all this stuff, bagels and all this food there. And if you've skipped breakfast, you're going to go for that stuff because it's there and you're probably starving. Your blood sugar probably already is like screaming at you. And so you go for it. So, it's nice if you can make a small plan and take some simple steps and kind of create a routine that works for you, even if it's just one piece of the day at a time. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yep. Absolutely. Baby steps, baby steps, baby steps. Don't try to do it all at once. Just pick one area that you want to improve and then just focus on that and let everything else go until you have that habit in place. Because, once, what do they say? It takes 21 days. I actually heard some new research recently that it takes even longer. I think most people say that it takes 21 days to establish a new habit. So really just focus on one thing for that 21 days or 31 days or however long it takes you.
Right.
And then it doesn't become such an issue. Like I really worked at my morning routine at, structuring that and kind of planning out my time of what I was going to do when, because I try to start work by about 8:30. Even though I work from home too, my every day is full of stuff. So I try to be, working by 8:30. So I had, from 6 to 8:30 that I needed to figure out what all I needed to do. And if I didn't get that stuff done during that time, then I really felt kind of frazzled for the rest of the day. So it was really important to me to create that morning routine and make it a habit. And it took some time to get used to it, but now I'm used to it because I've been doing it for, at least 6 months to 9 months of the same routine every day. So it really, and now it doesn't feel like a big deal. I'm like a robot in the morning. I just do it.
Right.
So,
right.
Yeah. Now I just have to work on the evenings. We'll get that figured out.
Yeah. I mean, it is tough. I mean, I think it really should start. Everyone could focus a little bit in the morning on maybe breakfast and a little bit in the evening doing better. And I think those two things alone will take you very far. Mm-hmm. And then for those of you who want one more tip, and we'll need to wrap this up because we're getting kind of long here, but I think there's another thing that people get hung up on, and this the whole thing with exercise and feeling like they have to get to the gym and they have to do a workout or else it doesn't count or whatever. And so I personally don't have time to get to the gym. I don't have time to do a full workout. I don't have time for that. And it's not an excuse either. I really don't. I mean, there are days when I could maybe say, all right, I'm going to put 30 minutes on the schedule and I'll do it. But honestly, I have so much going on and so much to do that I don't have time for that kind of exercise. Guess what? It's okay. Most people don't. So here's how I get over that. I do, and I love this bursting thing. I just talked about my kitchen burst. Now I'm going to talk about my exercise burst. Since I work from home, I can take a walk. Like if I have calls scheduled all day and I have like 30-minute window between or a 15-minute window between or whatever, I'll go for a walk. Or I'll do a quick laundry burst where I run up and down the stairs 3 times carrying a basket of laundry, like, because I have to, right? And honestly, people, that is good for you. That's exercise. That counts. Mm-hmm. So I think there's a lot of people out there that have this, like, guilt over exercise or this, or not even the guilt part, but I have to get my workout in, and it has to be this, 30-minute workout or 45-minute workout, and it really doesn't. You can do short little bursts in between your busy schedule. So let's say you work at an office. Well, on your lunch break, go for a walk, or when you get home, have a quick little 5-minute, do some squats. Honestly, it really doesn't have to be this big ordeal. You can get your body some movement in and some fitness in and even get stronger by just little short bursts. So I wanted to kind of mention that because I feel like people get really hung up with the way they exercise or how long or whatever. So, be okay with that. Be okay with these little short bursts. I just read an article. That's what Jennifer Aniston does, by the way.
Oh, okay.
And she's looking pretty good, She only has time to fit in a 5-minute here, a 10-minute there, and that's what she does. So I guess that makes it okay, right?
Of course. No, I think you bring up some really good points, and actually we're going to wrap up here, but we do have some plans to talk about exercise and fitness and figuring out how to fit exercise into your busy life, as well as knowing what kind of exercise is right for you, because I actually just did a video on this. I haven't posted it yet, but I kind of have always been in that mindset of like I have to go to the gym and I have to do X amount of cardio and X amount of weight training, or else like I'm a failure, or else I'm not, I'm not going to be healthy, kind of thing. So I think that there is a lot of guilt, and people put a lot of pressure on themselves to do a certain amount of exercise every day, and then they feel bad about themselves if they don't get that in. So yeah, that's a totally different podcast, but it's an important one. So definitely. When I used to work in an office, we'll wrap up after this, but when I used to work in an office, I mean, I would know people who every time they would get up to go to the bathroom, they would do like 20 jumping jacks or 20 squats or 20 lunges just every time they went. So you're getting a teeny bit of exercise in and strength building exercise with something that you're already doing anyways. So just try to get creative and think about different things. Take 2 steps at a time rather than just one, stuff like that. So yeah, there's ways that you can incorporate exercise into your busy schedule without feeling guilty about not going to a gym or not going for a run or doing, whatever it is that you do for your exercise. So.
Yep. And a lot of people aren't even healthy enough to do 30 minutes of straight cardio. They actually might be making themselves worse. So the bursting is actually a great way for anyone, no matter what level of health or fitness you have. You can do it to the level that you're at, too. And it can be short.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, we will go ahead and wrap up here. Hopefully this talk has been helpful, give you some new ideas, maybe get some stuff percolating in your brain. But if you have questions about any of the stuff that we've talked about, leave us comments or you can shoot us emails. We are happy to discuss. And then we'll also make sure we link to, I think Lydia mentioned a couple of blog posts that she had written that kind of go along with what we talked about. And I've got some stuff on my site too. So check the descriptions down below or the blog post down below, depending on where you're listening to this. Check for those links if you want to, research more and learn more about what we've been talking about today. We are going to sign off. We hope you have a great day, and we will talk to you guys again soon.
Yep, and make sure to add to your daily routine, listen to our podcast.
Yes.
All right, thanks for listening, everyone. Bye.